That looked like a hostage video, didn't it?
It looked like
Jason Kidd was sitting there. I guess Nico was still on the scene.
Yeah.
And Kidd sitting there next to him, and they're in the aftermath, like the day after they traded Luka Doncic, and he literally looked like they're the old reveal that we talk about with Hank Aaron, talking about the Barry Bonds breaking his record, where they pull back and there are two guys with ski masks on and machine guns pointed at his head. As he says, "Well, yeah, I also saw this as a good move."
He's making no facial expressions.
Take a guy out of the lineup who's averaging 40 points a game.
Just went to the
and
finals.
throws in the other two stats for a triple-double as a matter of routine, even though he doesn't look like his vertical leap is more than a half inch. He's still grabbing 12 rebounds a game. How the hell is he doing that? He dishes off 12 assists and doesn't miss in the clutch. Sure, we're getting rid of that guy.
He's like, we just play with the guys we have. He looks scared.
That was one of the all-time phony press conferences. You know how we love him. I mean, he looked stunned. He looked like he was on massive amounts of sedatives to sit down there and not be enraged the entire time.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
Very pleasant. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Defo Show. Jeff DeForest, we got Mike Lubie Lubitz, a really fired up Mike Lubie Lubitz. This is one of his big days of his life. Not only is he going to get some more information about the future Luca Lubie, who is well on his way and developing quite well, at least so we hope. We'll get more information on that coming up later on this afternoon on the Mayo Show after Lubie visits with his lovely wife, Shirley. The physician who is taking care of things, and seems to be like everything is on track. That's all you can hope for. It's all anybody ever says. All you're hoping for. This was before they revealed the sexual reveal, gender reveal things, where you didn't know what it was going to be till the day it popped out there. But everybody always said the same thing. It was cliche. All we're hoping for is a healthy baby.
Yes.
Even though you're rooting 1,000% for a boy. Let's face it.
I wasn't.
First one. You want to see that Lubitz legacy continue.
Sure.
But maybe even taking priority over whatever information you're able to extract from the doctor today here. And let's hope it's all positive, which I think it will be. Yeah. But NBA draft, and you've lured me into this.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Why, Lubie? Why did you do this to me?
I don't know.
NBA offseason. I'm sitting here thinking, and sometimes it's hard to admit this, but every now and then, I always was thinking, you have to edit your own stuff. Let's face it. But, you have different voices in your head telling you, hey, what's the most important thing? Program directors used to say this all the time. Our good friend Chris Visser, his philosophy on doing this sort of thing. Play the hits. And I resented this. I literally, I would get just absolutely crazy thinking, what could I do that would defy the program director and come up with the most obscure thing I could start with? Because they were looking for you to play the hits. But what are the hits today? and I was very reluctant to dive into this, but you can't help it because you love NBA offseason, and tonight is the draft. The draft.
Isn't it tomorrow?
I think it's tonight. Is today the 25th? Yeah, June 25th. Tonight and tomorrow, the NBA draft.
Oh, it's 2 days. They're making it 2 days. Oh,
2-day draft, yeah. Well, what do they do? They do the first round, and then who would care about the second round of the NBA draft? The players don't even care about that. Well, once you get past the first round, although you see, it's funny. You'll have a guy get traded, and then the deal also includes 12 second-round picks over the next 12 years. But the draft is tonight.
Good for you.
Yeah. How could you miss that? And I'm aware of it.
I know. I thought it was Thursday for some reason.
Wow, you get that derisive Mexican whistle we used to get at the Olympic Auditorium, which essentially meant, hey, let's pick it up, guys. Let's start fighting a little bit. We don't want to see one of these Canelo fights where the guy just runs the entire time. What was that guy's name? Skull. But and draft history with the Miami Heat. Look, I remember covering a few of these. They used to have some draft parties. Do they still do that? When you have the 20th pick, do they assemble a bunch of guys at the Kaseya Center in Miami? Will people actually be coming out there? When I was back in the days when I was at WIOD, we used to actually cover this stuff. I remember a few of them that really stood out. Naturally, the first one, they drafted Ronnie Cycli, number 9 overall. And Cycli turned out to be a worthwhile player. I had an affinity for Cycli, being a Syracuse guy, and we'd watch Ronnie Cycli choke off that one championship there, the Keith Smart shot from Indiana off the elbow, right through the hoop, and Derek Coleman bricking free throws at the line. Ugly visions of defeat, the agony of defeat. Then I remember the Harold Miner draft. Everybody was very excited that we got Harold Miner. That was somewhere in that vicinity also, like eighth, ninth pick, something in there. And the crowd was elated. Oh, my God, they went nuts. And then we realized that Harold Miner was just a fabrication of the California dream, where as good as he was at USC, he wasn't going to be that great of a pro. Supposedly 6'5", he was shorter than you and me.
No,
And even though he could jump through the ceiling, it wasn't enough. And his jump shot wasn't good enough to keep him in the NBA. And
Nope.
he wasn't going to be able to go to the hoop, being like 6'1", if he was even that. Then he wasn't going to turn out to be much of a player. Who was the guy that they traded with Utah? And now I can't believe I'm blanking on his name because I've used it a zillion times.
now I can think of that. Oh my God.
They got some foreign player who they only had seen artist renderings of in a deal. Late in the round, Pat Riley shrugged it off like, well, who cares about this anyway? And so it was sort of inconsequential until they drafted the two key players that they don't want to get rid of, which I think there's good reason to think that they should keep these two guys. Bam Adebayo. Are you stuck in the mud, in the quicksand, if you're banking on the tandem of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero, two mid-first round picks, I think maybe both at 14 and 15, to carry your franchise into the future? Are we just deluding ourselves with the idea that these two guys are going to be able to do it? Clearly, there seems to be a sentiment out there that they are not enough, since supposedly the Heat were all in or trying to go all in on acquiring Kevin Durant, which they failed to do. And then you start reading about what's going on, because there are a couple of more big trades. I don't know. Is it a big trade when you trade Kristaps Porzingis in a three-way deal? The Brooklyn Nets now have, if you talk about draft capital, what is this worth, Lubie? The Nets in the first round have 5 first-round picks coming up tonight.
They have 5?
Yeah.
They have 5.
I don't know if any of them are significant enough. Supposedly, this is a deep draft where you can draft even in the 20s and still find yourself a quality player. It may turn out, and we know that the scouting never is pristine, and you've seen any number of players that weren't drafted that ended up being good players in every sport. But the Nets have the 8th, 19th, 22nd, 26th, and 27th pick.
Jesus.
You're assuming that they're going to try and package up a couple of those and move up to maybe what, 4? They're not going to get to Philadelphia's spot, are they? Would the 76ers trade out of number 3?
They supposedly are thinking of trading back. I
Back.
don't know what that means. Like, I don't know how far back. Like, I guess 8 isn't that far back. They keep talking about this being a deep draft. To me, it's weird because after Flag, I don't know really anyone else. So
Supposedly, everybody's saying, well, this Ace Bailey has been the story. There's always one guy whose stock is plummeting for usually some bizarre reason. Sometimes the assertion is that maybe he was engaged in some criminal activity, drugs, this, that, the other thing. Ace Bailey just hasn't shown up. He hasn't worked out for anybody. And he didn't work out for Rutgers either. So who's the other guy? Dylan Harper that was at Rutgers. He supposedly is the number 2 pick. But I found myself this morning perusing mock drafts, and then I realized this: the complexities of the NBA are beyond the scope. I don't even think Rene Descartes or any great mathematician. I don't know how Andy Ellisberg of the Miami Heat, generally regarded to be one of the great capologists and mathematicians in the game, which is sort of where you have to have your head and your heart if you're an NBA team. Because did you even realize there was a second apron? This is a term that I was not that familiar with, if at all. There'll be a second apron. This is supposedly why the Celtics have just dealt Holiday and Porzingis. Now, one snap, not of the finger, but of an Achilles, can change your entire approach to a season. It remains to be seen what Indiana is going to do in reaction to the fact that, or a notion that Halliburton probably is not going to play at all in 25-26. With Jason Tatum out, the Celtics were willing to go ahead and absorb whatever punitive activity is involved in being in the second apron. The second apron seems to me, is that
Oh, it's bad.
having a payroll over 500 million? Is that where it draws the line? I'm not sure what the line is on the second apron, but you're only allowed to be above it in 2 of 5 years. Who the hell could figure this crap
I
out, Libby? I mean, does the average fan have any idea what the hell is going on with this stuff, or do you literally have to have some math geek in the background there going, "Don't do it, don't do it, Brad"? Talking to Brad Stevens, these general managers all understand what it is, or do they all need advisors on this? It's like you're cheating off a math test with the girl with the red hair and the freckles, because as much as you think that you have absorbed a few of the lessons of calculus, which was what was the point? Did you have calculus when you were in high
Oh,
school?
I
College? Did you ever have to take a math class
I
in college?
the most basic math, and then didn't do it ever again. I hated math.
See, I enjoyed math because my favorite course, and the one course that I aced at Syracuse University, was, you can imagine this, Louis, how happy I was when I went to registration. I picked up a hot girl at registration, and then I signed up for odds and probability as one of my mandatory courses in math, which I excelled at that, odds and probability. I thought it was going to be more like the degenerate SATs, where you had to calculate payoffs on parlays and exactas. If there's like $200,000 in a carryover in a pick six pool, and the bettors put in another 1.5 million, and you have one of 17 tickets, how much money do you win after the 25% take? We come up with the answer right away. Meanwhile, we couldn't put 2 and 2 together, but that was something that we excelled at. But
What I got here is the second apron, I guess, changes every year. Right now, this year it's set at 207.8 million. So there's your threshold that you were looking for.
okay,
And I guess if you hit it more than 2 times, it restricts a lot of things you can do.
in a 5-year period.
It restricts, yeah. It restricts trades you can make, signings you can make, cash you have available. It's not exactly a hard cap, but I guess it's the NBA trying to say, we don't want you to go here. Like, it makes it much harder to work as a franchise when you're in the second apron.
Well, what puts you over the luxury tax? If that's the second apron, or you're already in the luxury tax
Yeah, I think
category,
that's
because
after the
that was
first.
the one thing that Mickey Harrison, as great of an owner as he is, lets Pat Riley run the show. Maybe Pat's getting some assistance now with the Miami Heat, but Harrison was one of these guys that just, in general, seemed to have an approach that, okay, what they need, I'm willing to give them, but don't go over the luxury tax, Pat, or you're out of here. Um, what puts you over the luxury tax there, where you're paying, and isn't it extremely punitive? Like, you have to match. Is it a dollar for dollar, or is it even more than that? If you're exceeding the luxury tax in the NBA, who the hell could figure this stuff out? Literally, you'd be pulling your hair out if you were trying to analyze what the hell was going on. But I enjoy some aspects of the NBA draft, although I do miss Susie Colbert fawning all over whoever got picked, and every question, it was literally like she was conducting an episode of The Bachelorette. How would you describe your journey to get to this point? The kid's
It's
popping zits. He's 17 years old. What are you talking about, Susie? A journey.
What the journey?
He was lucky. He was blessed with being 6'10". What are you talking about? But we'll see what happens. NBA draft tonight, of course. Cooper Flagg, a concession, going to be the number 1 pick. This Dylan Harper supposed to go number 2 to the Spurs, unless I don't know what options do they have after that. And I'm surprised that you're not familiar with most of these players, because the big story was that this Ace Bailey is dropping like a rock.
Keep hearing about Ace Bailey. He won't work out for this person. I don't. The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember him at all.
It's driving me crazy now. I can't believe I'm blanking on this bizarre European player who the Heat ended up acquiring him, I think, with the 25th pick overall. He was picked by the Utah Jazz and then traded to the Heat. And everybody's like, who the hell is that? I don't think Pat Riley would have recognized him if he was taking a leak next to him in the bathroom there before the draft took place. But certainly was not a very effective player for the Miami Heat. So he had this Porzingis deal. He ends up with the Hawks. What are the Hawks exactly trying to accomplish there with Porzingis? Your favorite target for the player that everybody thinks is going to make a big difference, but usually doesn't put himself on the court. Always
always
hurt.
hurt.
Not even
Yeah.
hurt. He has bizarre ailments.
The weirdest injuries, or like he's
Remember
gonna not play. That's just him. Celtics fan finally realized. I mean, they won in spite of it, but they kept waiting for Porzingis. I'm like, you're gonna be waiting a long time.
It's weird stuff. I remember Ronnie Cycli of the Heat being out for a substantial period of time, and I think he'd been bitten by some Asian tsetse fly or something. But we couldn't figure out what was wrong with the guy, and he, would just miss large amounts of time. Porzingis is in that same category, no? Where you are seeing some, you got blood clot issues with some of these players, and Porzingis, we didn't even know. Was there anything wrong with him? He's sitting there, he looks fine, and next thing you know, he's like ineligible to play for the next 6 months. But so that deal went down yesterday. He had a couple of other minor deals taking place. So all of this, I guess, in reaction to trying to align yourself to be in compliance with whatever the bizarre parameters are. Who draws these parameters up, these guidelines up for NBA teams? So you're looking at, well, we were talking about it yesterday, where you have a guy like Chris Middleton. I mean, does it excite you? If the Heat acquired Chris Middleton, what would you think?
4 years ago, that'd have been cool.
Yeah, a good shooter.
That's a waste of money.
Solid
Now.
player, good offensive presence, nice second or third option. If he's hoisting the ball, you felt pretty confident he might make a high percentage of his shots, and he came through in the clutch. But to pay $33 million for a guy, it's incredible. How do you get to $500 million in payroll, too, with only 15 guys on the roster? What does that average out to, Louis? Speaking of doing the quick math,
500.
500. That was a Celtics payroll. $500 million.
Oh,
well, that was with everything, though. That was including
their entire contracts and all that.
Getting hammered on these taxes and everything.
Yeah.
All right, so that's happening tonight. That's going to be the big excitement in the sporting world. And you duped me into talking about this, Louis.
I
didn't know it was happening.
I was looking for it tomorrow, so that's interesting that it's today.
Is a woman and a player in the WNBA allowed to be a malcontent? You got this DeWanna Bonner, who wants out of Indiana. Which why would you want out of Indiana? They're very much in the spotlight because you're playing second and third fiddle to Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
would that be the reason? Because she has a fiance that plays for I think Phoenix.
Wow.
That could be. I don't know. Anyway, a malcontent. Why did I resent that, Louis? Why isn't a woman allowed to be? Well, we know any number of women. I've experienced this my entire life. Women that are discontented with whatever you're doing in the relationship. So why would it strike me odd that a woman wants out in a WNBA situation? Very sexist on my part, Louis. Very sexist.
You mean malcontent in any walk of life? I wouldn't associate femininity or masculinity with malcontent.
Malcontent says, I don't want to play here anymore. I'm out of here. But
we see that. WNBA is so little viewed that they should just be happy. They have, I guess. I mean, I don't think that way anymore. I don't really watch it, but it's been around a while, and it seems to be getting some traction now with Clark and all the other, and Reese and all the hullabaloo. You're going to get malcontents, I guess, at some point. It's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know why. I'm making a bold admission that I probably shouldn't. When I saw it, I was thinking, bleep you, DeWanna Bonner. What do you mean you want out of Indiana? Get the hell out of here. Whatever. Indiana is like a fairy tale story in the WNBA because it came from nowhere. They got Clark. And even though, as we saw yesterday, maybe, I don't know, can we start this? This would be clickbait. Is Caitlin Clark vastly overrated?
Oh, supposedly she's really good. I don't know. I haven't watched her.
She's great. I really do. As a
here we go. About her percentages. Yeah, her percentages are freaking weird.
I don't know. He's shooting 40% from the field and less than 33% from 3-point range. Does that make you a superstar around Lubie? A woman that should be carrying your league? I mean, that makes you a chucker.
In men's, I don't look women's stats. We talk a lot about how the women's game is different and it's supposed to be judged differently, which is hard because it's the same sport, but it looks night and day from the men's. So maybe shooting is different. In the men's league, that's a horrendous. Like when someone shoots like that, you're like, what the hell? That's not good. That's not one of the best shooters.
That gets you cut. Yeah, I mean, if you're you would expect some bricklaying center, like if Manute Bol was a 30% 3-point shooter, which I believe he was higher than that. You would say, okay, well, the guy's 7'7".
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
he doing outside that far from the basket anyway? Half of these shots have to be desperation shots at the expiration of the shot clock. But I'm unimpressed by it, I have to say. As much of a fan of Caitlin Clark as I am, I enjoy watching this woman play. She's a great passer. And is she also like a troublemaking instigator that gets away with murder? I'm not sure, Libby. Maybe
I
we should get on the bandwagon of being anti Caitlin Clark, like Angel Reese, just to get attention. Maybe that would be the way to get the show up to higher levels of viewership and levels of interest. Because are you better off if everybody out there thinks you're an idiot? Hey, look at Skip Bayless and his 20-year stance on LeBron James. That James is overrated. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, that's unfolding tonight. That's all part of the fanfare. Major League Baseball, you had an impressive debut. I was talking to my neighbor. I didn't even realize it was this big of a sports fan. A guy named Danny lives a couple of doors down from me. We talk a little bit here and there about different things. And he says, hey, I'm watching this Yankee game. Did you see this guy, Chase Burns? First appearance in Major League Baseball, highly touted prospect, pitching prospect for the Cincinnati Reds. He comes out and he's fanning everybody, Libby. Strikes out the first 5 guys that he faces. I don't know that that's happened. I'm not sure if it ever happened before. They said the first time that's happened in a guy's debut since like 61 in the expansion years. Not sure if it had. I'm assuming somebody at some point had to make a debut, strike out the first 5. Who is this guy? Eddie Feigner? That's unbelievable. Strikes out the first 5, goes through the lineup the first time. The Yankees go 1 for 9 against him, and he strikes out 7 guys. He ends up striking out 8 in 5 innings. He gives up 3 runs. Second time through the lineup, they caught up with this kid. But very impressive debut by Chase Burns yesterday on the Major League Baseball front. Steven Strasburg. Do you remember this? I think I watched this game.
Oh.
No, not playing, but he struck out 14 in his debut.
Yeah. He was great out of San Diego State. Yeah. They just coddled him and ended up ruining him the rest of his career.
Because now everything, they always have quantifiers about, well, he's the youngest guy to do this since this or that. And then the quantifiers are, well, he's the youngest guy to strike out 6 guys across 3 innings, 3 2/3. It gets to be really sort of infinitesimal, the qualifiers that they have. But Strasburg, I guess, was the youngest guy to strike out that many people. And probably who else struck out 14 in their debut?
Oh, what did Kerry Wood, when he got those numbers, it wasn't his debut?
No, he had been in the league for a while, I think. Or maybe it might have been his rookie season. But
it was his rookie season. I think it must have been like a second or third start.
What did he strike out? 20, Kerry Wood?
20 strikeouts to, what was it, tie to match Clemens, but I think it was his second and he did it twice, I think. I think it was his second or third start when he did
that. Was really something, huh? I mean, Kerry Wood, when he was fanning everybody inside.
Where they didn't coddle him and he was a mess.
Yeah. Strasburg, I think he had more Tommy John surgeries than anybody else also. How many times did he go under the knife, Steven Strasburg?
Oh, good. He would,
at least a couple.
They coddled him and it still didn't matter. Like, that's what it tells you about pitchers. Like, you can pitch them, they get hurt. You can not pitch them, they get hurt. Like, there's really no exact. Look at the Marlins. They've done very different strategies with their pitchers, and they all seem to get hurt no matter what they do.
They're going to have James Andrews on the medical staff. He's not the guy anymore. What is he? James Andrews must be like 100 years old. Is that it? Is he even alive anymore, Dr. James
He's alive,
Andrews?
I think, and I think he's still active, but he's in like his late 80s or 90s. Like, he doesn't actually do the surgeries anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of interesting stuff. So I can't believe that you were unaware that the draft is finished, but you're preoccupied with the kid and everything.
Well, no, I mean, I'm paying attention to the offseason stuff. I saw the Celtics ship out Holiday, ship out Porzingis, go younger, clear money. Jaylen Brown supposedly on the market now. The Heat are one of the many teams that are very interested in Jaylen Brown. They're sort of trying to look. They're doing what people want the Heat to do. When you realize, okay, we're gonna probably have an off year, screw it, junk it. You'll keep Tatum obviously, and you'll build around him. And they're not going to tank, but they're getting rid of all their big, because Brown has one of the biggest contracts in the league. Like, Brown's contract's utterly insane. So, and look, you just lost in the second round with him, with Tatum healthy until he got hurt in the last game that they were probably going to lose anyways. Like you realize, okay, or when you look at these other young teams coming up, like we're probably not going to be as good as them. Screw it. Let's get rid of these contracts and let's sort of maybe not officially start over because you'll still have Tatum, but it's the stuff that's what the Heat fans want. Pick a direction. Like they went for it. They got a title. They have a lot of big contracts for guys that are aging and just not worth what the contract is. All right, let's get rid of them and let's get a lot of picks and let's go young. Like, that's the thing the Heat don't do. That's what you were talking about. You started everything by talking about Hero and Bam. I don't think there's anything wrong with Hero and Bam if they were able to. Look, when Jimmy Butler was Jimmy Butler, those two guys fit well. Well, Hero never played with him, but Bam and the other pieces fit well. Those two guys are not a 1 and a 2. They're more of a 2 and a 3. So if the Heat had that's why the Durant thing worked for me. If they have a real number 1, if Jimmy Butler wasn't talking about malcontent, wasn't a malcontent, like, those two guys will be fine. The problem is, what are those two guys when you don't have a number 1? Like,
Also,
exactly. Like, can you build around them? Because as they've tried to, it feels like you can't. So do you then trade them? Okay, what is their value? Because to me, whenever I see any trade involving Bam, it's a stupid ass trade. It's like, this dude's been an all-star almost every year of his career. Yeah. He's been all NBA defense almost every year of his career. Like, what he does for your team is hard to calculate. Just throwing a bunch of randoms in there doesn't make up for what he is. So, but he's not a superstar. Like, he's not. He struggles to find his footing. So if you trade them, that's fine. But what are you gonna get for them? That's my problem with the reset Heat fans want, is the Heat know the value of these two guys. And all the questions are around Hero. Hero was an all-star this year. Hero put up a season that was like a top, like, what do you do? The 24, 5 and 4, like whatever he did, there's only a few
he was fine this year.
So you can't just trade him for nothing. Like, that's the problem, is like, where are these guys are in such a weird place value wise that the Heat, it's sort of like, I guess we just keep them, but that's not the answer either, because then you find yourself in the play-in 3 straight years. Like,
I think you pegged it a couple of years ago with Bam Adebayo, where, I mean, you're looking at a guy that appears to have all of the tools that you would want in that type of player, except seems to have a certain, and I have this image, it's almost like seeing Jamal Mashburn when he was at the free throw line in the playoff game, and he passes the ball to Clarence Weatherspoon, who's out there on the wing, not even expecting the ball to come his way. Mashburn's wide open at the foul line for a jump shot, which he was an outstanding jump shooter, and you would much prefer him taking that shot than a forced brick by Weatherspoon from the wing. Out on the elbow there, and not necessarily a perimeter player. And Adebayo, there are times he's just not assertive enough, where the ball comes into him and you're thinking, okay, go ahead, make some kind of power move to the basket, take that little 12-foot jumper you're good at after pulling up and making the guy get in motion. And he doesn't even turn around and face the basket. He just kind of, oh, yeah, okay. Okay, you just throw it right back out to the 3-point line, and you're saying, no, you have to be more assertive in that spot.
100%.
I don't know why they haven't been able to instill that mentality in him, but you still without a bio.
I mean, he is who he is. He has his moments. He had in the playoffs. He had a game where he's 30 and 10. Like, that's the problem, is that he shows.
You want him to be like Garnett, in that spot.
Yes. You want him to be a guy that has consistently grown and is now ready to take over that role. And that's just not who he is.
Yeah.
But do you trade him for Rui Hachimura? Like, that's the problem. Like, he's better than what you're going to get for him. And that's sort of my problem with both of those guys, is the Heat don't put them in trades because they're better than what the trade is, but keeping them makes you a 7th seed. Like, to be a 7th seed is utterly useless in the NBA. They don't want to tank, fine. Okay. Like, the Celtics aren't tanking. The Celtics are just like, you know what? Without Tatum, this team would be, a 5 seed at 6, with all the young teams making the moves. So, like, what does that do for us? To lose in the first round, like, look what he just did. He missed out on a top 15 pick. And again, I'm all for going for the playoffs. But when you look back, to then get swept, losing by 30 in every game, a top 15 pick, they probably could use both of those picks and probably could have gotten Durant. Like,
yeah, maybe.
Like, pick a lane. I don't care which lane it is. I'm not even telling you to tank, but readjust, reformat, refresh. Like, what you're doing is not working. It's just not.
Spinning their wheels, man. The old hamster syndrome there. Just spinning around and waiting for somebody to throw some food into the cage there.
Bingo.
All right, we're going to come back. We're going to go old school with Tony Segreto. Tony entrenched in his digs in Vermont, and he'll join us. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. That's coming up in just a moment. We got Mike Lubie. Lubitz. There's Tony. Tony looking good, man. You're getting a lot of sun up there. What the hell is going on with you? Are you wearing... No, don't tell me, Tony.
What? No, I'm not.
Have you gone to the orange makeup?
Oh, no, I'm not.
Have you become MAGA?
No, he's actually getting
You look
sun.
so good, my
I
God.
think he's getting more sun there.
How did you get more sun in Vermont? What are you doing?
It's been sunny and bright, and
Wow.
it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
You look vibrant, though. I mean, really. Here's a guy. What do you? The number is what? 74.
75.
You're 75 years old. Oh my
Yep.
God, Tony, you look great. Holy
do look
crap!
amazing.
You look like you could go 12 with Canelo. Forget about French.
Did he? He looks like the next opponent for Canelo.
Oh, yeah, no, he's too young.
After Crawford.
He's not deceased. All right, we're coming back. Tony Segreto goes old school with us with his new 10 from Vermont, of all places, in a moment. Now that.
The time.
The hell is it so sunny up there, Livy? Do you believe this guy? Look at this guy.
Weird.
It's sunny. It's sunny.
He looks better.
I'm shocked. It's 8:32.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently. What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Texas Roadhouse.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this
All right, welcome back to the show. We got a little bit of a black spot there where Tony Segreto was looking so good. Probably went back outside to get some more sun. So we'll reconnect with Tony Segreto here in just a few minutes and go a little old school. I don't know how involved in Heat drafts Tony Segreto was. We're concentrating on the Heat. That was our local team because naturally we've seen a zillion of these. Not exactly an illustrious draft history here, Libby. As it did get, they had 2 first-round picks the first year. They had Ronnie Cycli at number 9. Kevin Edwards, who was a decent player, came also at number 20 that year. They had no first-round. Oh, no, their second-round pick that year was Grant Long, our good friend Grant Long, who ended up having a 15-year career in the NBA, so they didn't miss on that. They also drafted Sylvester Gray. Sylvester Gray did not look like a basketball player. He looked like somebody that you would have as a bouncer at a strip club somewhere in Hialeah. Sylvester Gray, and he didn't do much. Orlando Graham was a second-round pick in '88. Wow, they really got hosed that year. My God. They actually had a third round that year where they got Nate Johnston. You remember him? Now, '89, they picked up the pace. They got Glenn Rice. Willie Burton wasn't a terrible choice, but it didn't work out. As Willie Burton had some mental issues where, unfortunately, he was seriously afflicted with some kind of mental trauma. And it was to the point where he literally was like seeing green men on the wall when he was in the hotel rooms. His teammates were very worried about him. And they don't list this guy who I'm blanking on, what the heck?
Martin Mursep.
Martin, you're
It
a
just
yeah,
hit me. I
you're
wanted to look it up so bad, but I didn't know how to look it up, and I didn't know the year. I'm like,
How did you know his name, Lubie?
Well, because
No,
we've talked about this for years, and it never, for some reason, we always remembered his name.
yeah. Till
This
now, when my memory went blank.
15 years.
And Lubie just see he's transitioning into old age also
No,
because
it just hit me.
the minute you're about to Google something is when it hits you.
Lubie, first of all, how is Shirley feeling?
She's good. We go back to the doctor today. We do our anatomy scan, they call it, where they do an in-depth analysis on the entire baby. So really excited for that, and we'll do that after the show.
You having a boy, right?
Yes, we are having a boy. Yes, sir.
That we're betting on a boy.
No,
Here,
it's
oh no, we already know. It's a lock. It's kind of
Are you going to name him Jeff or
oh, Tony, neither. I love you both dearly, but no.
he's naming him after the jockey Luca Panici of all things.
It's not after Luca.
It's going to be Luca Panici Lubitz.
We like the name
He's
Luca.
arriving on the planet. All right, Tony, what's your experience covering NBA drafts? I know you were heavily immersed in NFL drafts, but how excited do you get about NBA drafts? It doesn't seem to have the same kind of fanfare that
I was thinking about that this morning, and the NBA draft just doesn't seem to have the oomph that the NFL draft. I would rank the NFL draft number one, and then the NBA draft probably 5 or 6, just in terms of excitement. It just, first of all, it's only one round to speak of.
Yeah, the second round doesn't matter at all. No one
Yeah,
cares.
it can. I mean, it's not like anyone pays a lot of attention to it. Well, I mean, no one understands the NHL draft. Once you get past like the first or second player, nobody has any idea who they're taking. International stuff, and really, not a lot of people. I mean, it was very hard to follow the Major League Baseball draft with any degree of knowledge or certainty.
That has a little more oomph than the NBA draft.
You believe that? I see, because that used to always take place during the College Baseball World Series back in the day when you were in Omaha, and I do remember a little bit of buzz about it because you would have any number of Hurricane players that were looking to be drafted. Plus, it goes on for like 70 rounds.
Yeah, round 69, the first pick in the 69, 59.
And a lot of players picked in the late rounds. I mean, guys that weren't even going to be picked at all ended up becoming Hall of Famers and superstars. So,
you know, I remember in Omaha, we were going to a game, and I was looking up the draft. But first, we had to make a stop. I'm thinking, why did we stop? We stopped in an old barn where they make snuff.
Snuff. That's what it was.
And the guys go in, they get their chew, the little packets. They come out, smiling, in the mouth. And I'm going, what the heck is this?
There was always a lot of concern. I remember being around a hotel when these guys were involved in the process of being
They walk
selected.
around with a cup too. They walk around with a cup. They spit in the cup.
Oh, yeah. Not a particularly good habit, though. We came to find out, which you would have to think. I actually, it's funny you mention that because I was in a store yesterday, and there was only one cashier at the Publix I was at. It was almost like you were going to Walmart. And so I figured, okay, let me go up to the customer service person who's also capable of checking you out, but they don't really like to, make that indication that you can come here and avoid like being the seventh guy in line when everybody's got shopping carts full of groceries. So I go up there, and a woman is purchasing cigarettes. And now, what is a pack of cigarettes these days, Lubie? Do you have any idea? Is it like $8? Is it more than that?
I don't know, about $8 or $9, I think.
She buys 2 cartons of cigarettes, which I'm thinking you might be wise to reconsider that purchase, ma'am. But it was $170. She got whacked. Well, I mean, figure if it's $8 a pack,
Yeah.
it's $80 a carton plus tax or whatever. Well, I guess that includes the tax. But imagine you're buying something that you know is just going to be devastating to your health.
Yes.
Why not just buy like a cap of cyanide and give the?
Well, the cyanide is more alert, and it happens right away. So you don't want
Exactly. So you're better off, right? Who wants to go through this agony? The devices and but I was
Hey,
thinking, wow, I mean, they've made the cost so prohibitive. Nobody, I mean, beyond the information that we know, nobody in their right mind, who would want to lay out $160 if you're smoking a pack a day that doesn't even get you through the month?
No,
no,
that's insane.
That's amazing. You talk, I mean, gambling is a better habit, I think.
well, let's not stretch it.
All right. So, what are your recollections of? I know you had to go to a couple of those deals at the old Miami Arena, probably when you were the
When,
sports guy at CBS or NBC.
so the two drafts I remember vividly are the Dwayne Wade
Yeah.
and Alonzo Mourning.
Well, Morning was drafted by Charlotte.
Yeah. We
No,
traded
Alonzo. Who was the first? The
for
first.
Ronnie Cycli. He's probably Ronnie Cycli. You were
Ronnie
probably having
Cycli was the first guy
Ronnie
taken, number 9.
Yes, well, not Ronnie Cycli. The guy after him. I can't think of his name right now.
Glenn Rice was in the next year. He was taken
Rice.
number 1, number 4 overall. The Heat finally got a little bit of a break there after winning 17 games in their first season.
But Dwayne Wade stands out.
Well, and most fortunate words ever spoken in the Heat history. We've talked about this many times with members of the organization, where when the Toronto Raptors picked Chris Bosh, and supposedly Pat
Yes.
Riley was not necessarily enamored with Dwayne Wade, not to the extent that others were in the organization, and was inclined to pick somebody else, and then Toronto picked Bosh, and he kind of fell into their lap at number 5.
Yeah.
100%.
And if you try to assess the two careers, even though
And
Bosh,
look at what happened to him. Look at
Bosh
what
is
happened.
great. He ain't Wade.
yeah, Dwayne Wade's career vastly exceeded anything that you got from Chris Bosh.
And it's continued afterwards.
Yes.
He's hosted, and it's exceeded expectations, exceeded the game of basketball.
Yes.
It's all over the place. It is truly remarkable. He has marketed himself and made himself a superstar.
But what about the statue, Tony? Have you seen that? Oh, really? I mean, it's probably the worst artist rendering of anything. Talk about Martin Murasep.
It is the worst rendering of an athlete that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's rough.
Period.
Anybody.
It's rough.
You've been to those NFL Hall of Fame ceremonies, and every now and then they take the thing off the bust, and you're looking and going, "Who dat?"
I've been to the NFL Hall of Fame many times, and nothing is like Dwayne Wade's.
Dwayne Wade looked like they. I mean, no denigration to these people who are struggling, but it really looked like they fashioned it after and modeled it after a homeless guy that was down there by the Camilla's house.
I was going to say that, Jeff. That's a perfect example.
Either that or like Fred Sanford or something.
Fred Sanford.
Could be. I don't know. Probably getting a lot of trouble.
I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming.
Exactly.
It's just a big one. All right, speaking of the big one, we're going to be joined right now, and this is great. Look at this handsome gentleman from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. Joins us here in the show, Ed Garcia. How are you, Ed? How's everything going?
Good morning. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Nice.
All right, what do you got
Let's
there,
go.
Tony? A gift card?
Hey, I got my
really?
gift card.
Did
Nice.
someone buy you a gift card? Did you buy a gift card? Is that for me?
That's from you at Christmas time.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, read the expiration date.
I don't think it has an expiration.
How are you, Ed? What's going on? How are things, and how are you guys approaching? This is another good thing about Ed Garcia and Texas Roadhouse. Chain restaurants have certain things people categorize them as, but in the summertime, you guys don't drop off a bit, I would imagine, whereas a lot of local places, especially here in South Florida, really have to struggle. But with your pricing and consistency and quality, I'm thinking you're super strong in the summer, no?
Absolutely. We're very blessed as we get into the summertime. I'll tell you the cool thing that we just started recently. I'm sure Lubie's been all over it, but we've always been doing a $5 all day, every day pint of beer. So you can come in and get that ice cold beer. I know you have seen it, but we actually have a machine and we pump that beer out at about 28 degrees, which is absolutely amazing. Tastes delicious to the last drop. And we pour it in a frozen glass, but we also have $5 long iced teas and a $5 margarita as well now that you can come in and check out. So really, really awesome stuff. Excited for just an awesome summer. It's hot, but what a great way to end the day with a nice margarita and a hand-cut steak.
Yeah. Do you still have the shipping where you can get the butcher shop? Yeah.
We actually, no, we don't, unfortunately. It's, surprisingly enough, people didn't want to get it at home. They just wanted to come in and eat at a Texas Roadhouse. I think what was wrong with the shipping is it didn't come with bread. So you need that fresh baked bread.
Interesting.
Didn't come with bread. That's a good, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
I know you guys, like you always talk about, blocking and tackling and just doing the things right all year round. When other restaurants do different specials and do different things, you are seasonal and this and that. You guys are more about focused on hospitality and just doing what you guys do the best. But it is summer. I know you guys do some deals. You guys do anything different when it comes to the summertime for your patrons?
Actually, we don't. We still have our early dine.
Nice.
And, we really just stay consistent. It's that same, like you said, block and tackle play. It's crazy. I'm 18 and a half years with Texas Roadhouse, and I've done less than 10 menu item changes in my 18 and a half years.
Wow.
We just, every year we just focus on executing those recipes right, because it's a challenge, to make those mashed potatoes, because we're not just making, hey, enough for 3 people to feed for dinner. We're anywhere from, yesterday we fed on the average 600 people last night for dinner.
Wow.
In the 12 locations. So that's a lot of mashed potatoes. That's a lot of baked potatoes that we want to make sure that we get right. So we just stick to the basics. But we do have, the bread pudding, which you guys got to try when you did the radio show live. We are working on getting that a little bit more out there, which is pretty exciting. And, you can take it home, get it, frozen, bake it up. And Lubie, you can pass it off as your own dessert.
I'm interested in one of those ice cold beers there, Ed. All right, we were talking with Tony. Are you much of an NBA draftnik? Do you follow this at all? I know you're a football guy, but how much attention?
Not too much on the NBA. My intelligence level on that is probably as good as going out to Outback, which is not good at all. But I can tell you, we have 66 more days till kickoff with the Wolverines, and it's going to be a pretty exciting season.
And what do you think is happening there? How many more restrictions can they place on this team?
I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, it's I know Ohio State has a lot to do with it, so we'll let them go ahead and have their game. But I think we're going to have a phenomenal season. The part that has impressed me the most this year, really, with Michigan and a lot of colleges, but Michigan's recruiting class, we've always been in around the 20 mark. We're hovering right around number 6 right now. What we have done recruiting wise is going to create, they're all going to be young kids, 17 to 20 in a sense, but it's going to be an interesting season. Early on, they were calling for about maybe 8 wins, but I think we might be able to squeak out 10 or 11. And most importantly, I think we'll finish the season and knock Ohio State out again to make it 5 times in a row.
That would be,
that's my prediction.
Yeah, certainly something to look forward to. All right, I don't know if you followed this, Tony and Ed, but the regulatory body there, the NCAA, is diminished in power to the point where it almost seems meaningless. But I saw with these changes and this court ruling that the scholarship limit has now been lifted. So how many scholarship players can you possibly have on a team? I don't know. How do you think that's going to impact things?
I don't know. We gotta see it sift out, because Mario Cristobal, what is he going to do?
Have 200 players on the roster, possibly, right?
They got to fund it. First of all, they're going to fund it, and so I think I don't think it'll be that much more. Ed,
you're right on the funding, but there's definitely a lot of way to create funds real quick. I feel like if the university really wanted to, but that's going to create another very interesting piece. There's going to be a lot of regulation coming down here in the next few years with the NCAA for sure, because there's just a lot of money flying around. That's for sure.
There's so much money flying around. You know, these NIL deals. First of all, I don't see very many players doing commercials. Do you, Jeff? Do you, Lubie?
Yeah, a few doing national ads, but I'm thinking in Alabama, some diner is probably putting up a couple of $1 million for a tackle, and that's where they're getting the money from. I guess the thing that always stuck with me was, and we used to get this a lot when we were covering Hurricane football. I'm sure you heard this a million times, Tony and Ed, probably familiar with this, where they'd be trying to justify playing Division II school in the cupcake game for the homecoming. And you would talk to the coach and say, well, do you really feel like this is a fair test? And they would come back at you with, well, the only difference between us and a Division II school is that we give out 87 scholarships and they only have 45. So I mean, if you're allowed to have an unlimited number of players on scholarship, I don't know. Like you said, I mean, maybe they're already at the limit of what they would give out, but seemed to me that and that differential made sense, because you would have at these Division II schools maybe one or two guys that might have made the roster on a Division I school, but they just didn't have the ability to hand out that many freebie scholarships and free rides. So that's what struck me about that. That naturally the rich get richer. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if the rich get richer, but they certainly get better.
Well, and that would lead to riches, which was fueling the whole thing. So, all right. So you don't see any dynamic changes on that front?
No, none that I can think of right now, because the end all is you got your 22, maybe 36 players that are going to play. The rest are going to sit anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, depth obviously would be a consideration, no? And
yeah, but your depth. Go ahead, Ed.
I was going to say, I don't know if it's going to really lure your top end players, the scholarship. That's just going to be your fifth, really string, like all the way in the back for your practice squad. That scholarship's going to make an impact. As far as the NIL is what's going to bring the talent to the team. So, that's the way I look at it.
Guys are holding out now for more money.
Oh yeah. And they're changing teams 5 times.
Transfer portal, all of this stuff. It's more chaos than you see in the pros.
It's
sure.
more chaos than you see in the pros, for sure.
I know. We have to check out a little early because Lubie's got to run. He's got a big appointment, and we'll get more status, an update on Luca Lubie, who is going to be coming along in time, as they say. Does Tony look great, Ed? Have you ever seen? I mean, where's he getting this freaking sun?
I know.
You look amazing.
Guys, you got to come out and visit.
Either that or
very beautiful man right there.
He might have gone MAGA on us. I thought he went MAGA in the very beginning.
Jeez, he looks great.
Don't mention that. Don't mention that.
Applying the orange makeup. All right, Ed, we love you, man. Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, always a great time. And thanks so much for joining us, Tony. We'll catch you again next week. Thanks for being with us and looking so good. Gives me encouragement as I hit 74. That 75 may not be so terrible.
Lubie, good luck to you.
Thank you, sir.
Lubie. And everybody, have a great day. Later on, 10 o'clock today on Bleacher Brothers, I'll be talking with Jay Berger, former number 7 tennis player in the world and currently a coach of great significance. And we'll talk about the state of the game with Jay Berger on Conversations. That's coming up at 10 o'clock. For Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. See you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
It's 8:55.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.